Hello, welcome to another Python challenge. An anagram is a word or phrase made by using the letters of another word or phrase in a different order. So for example, take the word Python, change that around, you can make the word typhoon. So to complete this challenge, we need to build a function that takes two parameters. The initial word and the word you want to check is an anagram of the first word. And then the function should output true if an anagram was found and false if not. If you are looking for some underpinning skills to learn a little bit more about Python, then go ahead and access the main homepage, the Very Academy channel page. You'll find lots of different playlists. The Python beginners course here, that's going to give you some underpinning skills that are going to help you to complete challenges such as this one. So in addition to the main challenge here, we also have like a side challenge to create a small application that asks the user to type in a word and then checks it against a list of existing words. So essentially there's two challenges here. First of all, let's just take two words to see if we can check whether one of them is an anagram of the other. And then let's go ahead and create a list of words and then ask the user to input a word. And then let's check that word against a list of words to see if there's any anagram matches. As per normal, all the code is in the video description. There'll be a link there. You can link to the code and you can have a look if you don't want to go through the whole tutorial. Okay, so on to the answers. Hopefully you've had a go. Let's see what we've got here. So we're going to need a function. So let's create a new function. I'm going to call this check for anagram. So that's going to take in two words, say word 1 and word 2. Okay, so we've got two parameters there. So that's our function in place. And now we're going to need to do something. So we're going to pass in two words into this function. So let's go ahead, say word 1 equals, and we're going to convert that string, if you like, into a list. So this is going to be our word 1. Okay, so word 1 is now going to equal a list. Now let's have a look to see what happens with this. So if we go ahead and just print this, we can actually see what's happened to our word. So we're going to need to pass something in. So let's go ahead and do that. So check for anagram. Let's pass in two words. So let's just stick with Python and a second word, which is we know is typhoon. So we know that typhoon is an anagram of Python. It uses all the same letters. So let's go ahead and just check that. And you can see what's happened here is the first word, it's been broken up. So by converting, if you like, the string into a list here, you can see we've created a list and every single letter, it has become a data point in this list. So what we can do now is we can sort the list. So just by utilizing sort, so if we say word1 dot sort, so if we sort the list, what's going to happen now is that this list is going to be sorted in alphabetical order. So if we go ahead now and print word1, you can now see that the letters are now in alphabetical order within the list that we've created. So you may have already guessed what we're going to do next, and that's pretty much do exactly the same thing, but with word 2. So I'm just going to copy and paste that, word 2. So again, I'm going to convert to a list, word 2, and then I'm going to then sort it. So what I have now is two lists, word 1 and word 2, in a nice list, and you can already see what I need to do next. All I need to do next now is check to see if this list equals this list. So is there a match? If there is a match, then the second word must be an anagram of the first word. So let's go ahead now and do that. So let's say return. Now I did say in the challenge return true or false. So let's just say word 1 equals word 2. So this is going to return true or false. So let's now go ahead and print the outcome of our function here. Zoom in a bit. And then if I look at the output, now we can see it says true. Now, I know I can see it says true, so let's go ahead and just bring that up. And you can now see it returns true. So if I were to change the word to something else, obviously now it is not an anagram of Python, so we now return false. So we can probably slim this down just a little bit. It's kind of irrelevant at this point. We just wanted to get it working, but we could probably just slim this down slightly. Let's go ahead and remove sort here, and we could just bring that into the return. So here we could say sorted. We could use the built-in sorted function equals sorted word 2. So this is going to perform the same action. Okay, so I'd say that we've comfortably built a function that takes two parameters, the initial word and the word, and checks them for an anagram and outputs true or false. So I think the first challenge has been completed. And again, there's many ways for us to do that. And it'd be interesting to see how you've done it. So by all means, leave a link in the description, or maybe you've got a GitHub repository and you want to create or expand. It'd always be interesting to see what you've come up with. So the second extension, or the extension challenge here, is to create a small application. And this time we're just going to use the input function, the built-in input function, so the users can type something into the terminal, a word, and we're going to check that against a list or a library of existing words. Okay, so by library I mean a dictionary. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can do this. So first of all then, let's create an user input. So we're just going to use the built-in input here, and we're going to ask the user to enter a word, a space there. So that's going to look a little bit like this. So it says enter a word, and we can ask the user then to enter a word. Right, so now we've got that in place. Let's go ahead and think about what we're going to need. So we're going to create a dictionary here. So I'm just going to call this a library, library equals. And then we're going to create a list. Sorry, we're going to create a list. So let's add some words in here. So we know that, and then let's just go for sunny and windy. Whatever you like. Okay, so we have a nice little list here of 4 words. So now we're going to need to check to see if the word that's been entered, that's stored here in the user input, matches one of these, or is an anagram of one of these in the library. So for this, we're going to use a for loop. So for word in the library. So we're going to take each instance here, and we're going to check it against the user's input. We'll do that one by one with this loop. So first of all, we'll take Python into library. That will go into Word, and we can check it against the user's input. It will then iterate over again, Typhon, and then iterate over again. Sunny will go into Word, and then windy. So we're going to iterate 4 times over this, this list here. Right, so we're going to say if. So we're going to use it what we previously utilized. So if sorted user input is equal to sorted word. So word is a reference to the loop here. Each word is going to be passed into word as it loops around. So if there is a match there, we're just going to, in this case, print word. Okay, so there we go. Right, so let's go ahead and give this a go. So we're going to enter a word. I'm going to just type in Python, and you can see it's found all the anagrams, Python and Typhon. So notice here, we didn't convert into a list like we previously done. That was just really to showcase what happens, the behavior when we convert a string into a list. So if we wanted just to double check that, let's just go ahead and say print sorted, and then, for example, the user input. Let's just see what happens when we do that. And that gives us a better idea of what's actually happening behind the scenes. So if I type in Python, you can see what's happening here. Utilizing sorted here, you can see that the user's input's being cast into this list here, and it's been sorted into this list. Now, if we take a look at the Python documentation, that's exactly what should happen when we utilize the built-in sorted function. It returns a new sorted list from the items in the iterable. So we just need to remember the input that the user enters, that would be, for example, a string, but we need to remember here in Python that is an iterable as well, and that's why it can be iterated over using sorted to then convert into a list and then subsequently sort. Okay, so there we have it. A user input checks against a predefined list. Okay, so I think that was a small application. We've asked the user to enter or type in a word, and we've then checked it against a list of existing words. Of course, you're probably asking the question now, well, could we have taken the example before and removed this? So previously we cast the two words into a list and then sorted, but we now know that sorted does that for us. So potentially, the example we saw before, potentially we could simply do this. So let's go ahead and print this out. So print check for anagram. Let's just pass in two words. So Python and the anagram, which is going to be Typhon. Oh, there we go. So see if this works, and then it does. So you can see that we didn't need that additional piece of code of casting into a list. So needless to say, the more challenges that we complete, the better we'll understand what it is that we can do with Python and understand what tools are available to help us achieve different objectives. So I do hope you enjoyed this small challenge, and hope to see you in the next challenge.